Hello everyone and welcome to BearNews as we take a look at some recent announcements by Nvidia surrounding their graphics cards following on from the GPU shortage of 2020. This shortage has already affected gamers all around the world, as well as having large implications to multiple businesses and even reaching to national news. To fully understand how this shortage came about, we need to look back to the beginnings of the year 2020 and the start of the international coronavirus outbreak. As the virus spread, multiple countries took to lockdowns in an effort to stem the flow of this outbreak. Inevitably, people have taken to gaming as a way of passing the time, as well as having a knock-on effect to the content creation industry. And with a rise in the interest of computer gaming, more and more people began looking into upgrading their older setup or even building entirely new rigs from scratch. The current GPU shortage story has predominantly been focused around the 3000 series Nvidia GTX GPUs. The reason being that these graphics cards were such a large advance in performance over the 2000 series, with actually only a small increase in cost to buy into this big jump in gaming potential. This new increase in demand was then met by a decrease in supply. Thanks to the coronavirus, exports from China have been reduced significantly, owing to a decrease in production coming from companies based in China. And even following the return to production, the world has seen significant delays in the international import-export markets. Now, individually or even collectively, these factors will have an effect on the gaming industry and its production and the graphic processing market. However, they would not have such a drastic effect as we have seen over the past 2 years. For many, the answer lies in cryptocurrency mining. Cryptocurrency has been around for many years now, and with some countries even finding its mining and trade completely legal as early as 2007. However, the majority of countries as I could find listed ranged with their dates anywhere from 2015 to 2020 respectively. Despite having been made legal for so long, there does seem to be an increase in interest in cryptocurrency mining, which for those who don't know relies heavily upon the use of multiple high-end graphics cards in order to engage in the numerous hash calculations required. Whereas a gaming rig will typically have 1 or 2 graphic cards at most, even more readily available data mining rigs online can hold anywhere up to 8 separate graphics cards within their system. And with the popularity of mining increasing, the demand for GPUs has skyrocketed, coming in at a time where supply is already low. This has then in turn led to scalping, which if we turn to the work of Michael Driscoll, we can see just how profitable this situation has been to the many scalpers out there, with some graphics cards even being resold by scalpers at over double their MSRP. Now this behavior has not gone unnoticed or unchallenged, with many stores now working harder to ensure that bots that are buying these GPUs for scalpers are being weaned out on their waitlists, with these waitlists themselves often being limited to 1 graphics card per person. But with millions of US dollars on the line, scalpers of course have been fighting against these prevention methods to ensure they get their products, resulting in fewer and fewer GPUs ending up in the hands of gamers. Now, as supply slowly returns to pre-corona states, we should begin to see a drop-off of this scalping behavior. And Nvidia has directly responded to the increase in mining usage of their GPUs by not only introducing anti-mining software into their graphics cards, limiting their hash calculation potential, but also by suggesting the creation of an entirely mining GPU range. Now, unfortunately, a firmware update actually did undo this hash rate limiter. Nvidia has continued to suggest they are committed to limiting the mining potential of their graphics cards, trying to ensure that more of their graphics cards end up in the hands of gamers as opposed to scalpers or miners as time goes on. And something too that has affected not only the companies, but particularly the gamers in America, is the end of various trade tariff agreements with China and the USA. With the changes to international trade through these tariffs, American consumers are going to be paying anywhere between 10 and 25% more for graphics cards with the current state of these tariffs. Now, despite all of this, some companies like Asus and EVGA are actually honoring prices up until April 16th of 2021 for customers who bought their products. Owing to the large waiting list, this was somewhat of a necessity as many customers will have pre-purchased those products prior to their release. And I do feel it needs to be shown when companies have done what they can for their customers despite the changes in times. And with all these factors coming together, the great GPU shortage of 2020 shows no signs of stopping anytime soon. In fact, Nvidia has already warned about the potential for shortages in 2021 as far back as April of this year. But with the release of their new 3000 Ti series, could Nvidia have finally brought a change to their systems that makes them less desirable to miners and increase that supply to finally meet the demand? Given Nvidia's statements of attempting to limit the hash rating of many of their GPUs, we can take this as a prominent suggestion that these new graphics cards will have those limiters set and enabled when they are released. Unfortunately, we can also see through leaks that these new graphics cards could potentially be exceptional in the field of cryptocurrency mining. Assuming that Nvidia has indeed done its work in limiting the hash rating of their brand new graphics cards, then at the bare minimum we can remove mining users as a potential driving force in increasing the price of these new graphics cards. But it does little to prevent the current scene of scalping that has been introduced to the GPU market. The new 3070 and 3080 Ti series Nvidia graphics cards will launch on June the 3rd of 2021, and already the announcement of this release has caused a backlash within the community. Many consumers are concerned, and rightfully so, that the current nature of scalping within the GPU market is going to extend to these brand new graphics cards. Not to mention, given there is such a low supply of previous graphic processing units, members of the gaming community have taken to forums, social media, and even onto the comment section of the Nvidia website itself to show their outrage that the company, now unable to supply the current 3000 series, is going so far as to bring in a brand new Ti series to the mix. So given the current zeitgeist of the gaming community that the current 3000 series and these later Ti's are going to be unavailable to the general public, the question does come up as to how exactly gamers will access their games from 2021 onwards. Well, once more, we have seen some interesting stories pop up about integrated GPUs and their uses in gaming, as well as the advances that have recently come in. Now, as someone who has spent a fair amount of time gaming on an integrated graphics card, this is an option, but from looking at various sources, you will not be able to get anything up to the high-end graphics or refresh rates that are capable through a solid standalone GPU. But it would still be good to check out the Intel Iris Xe integrated graphics card, as it is such a large increase in performance from prior units that it could well suffice as an alternative for mid to lower end gaming, as well as seeing the rumored Intel Xedg2 discrete graphics card when it is released. Now, information on these is a little sketchy at best, but if you do have a look online, you can find plenty of sources suggesting that this will be a pretty darn good graphics card and comparable to some of the mid to low range Nvidia GTX 3000 series. But where does that leave gamers in the year 2021 who are looking to upgrade or build their own computer? Well, once more, this situation has led to something extremely interesting. Normally, gamers would suggest to build your own computer. Not only does it act as a badge of honor to have built your own rig, but also it tends to work out far cheaper. But given the current state, and given the way graphics cards are being sold outside of pre-builds, it will actually tend to be cheaper to buy a computer pre-built, or even from a custom computer builder, for the simple reason that many of them are still able to buy GPUs at the manufacturer's recommended sale price. These companies, as with many others, are limiting the availability of certain GPUs, often to one per customer. However, they do still have the option present to get the 3000 series into new builds, and with many doing so at the recommended price, this is definitely going to be an option for many gamers to consider, and a slight rethinking of the way PC gaming had worked for so many years. However, the likelihood for many gamers coming into 2021, just as it was in 2020, simply deciding not to upgrade or build a computer this year is likely going to be the best option. With waiting for graphics cards to return to the market recommended price, many players are simply going to have to learn to do without as they await their improvements in years to come. with keen eyes set towards AMD and Nvidia in particular, awaiting their return of supply, as well as the potential for other companies to get in on the GPU market now that it's at a standstill. The coming years for PC gaming are definitely going to be interesting to watch. Just when and how will supply return to normal? Will the GPU market be shifted by the recent developments? Will mining get their own series of graphics cards to limit their burden upon the gaming GPU market? But as can be seen from a statement from AMD regarding their Radeon 6000 series GPUs, increases to production are going to be very hard to achieve, and even should a company succeed in increasing their level of production, they still have to face a long-term production process, often requiring months to complete a single card, meaning that even despite best efforts, it will likely be a long time before we see any change in the GPU market. And with demand still so high for these GPUs, it is unlikely we're going to see a change in price and the elimination of scalping anytime soon. So what do you think? And more importantly, what do you think about building a PC in the year 2021? I look forward to reading your comments, and as always, until next time, peace out.